Hi everybody, I'm Becky Rupp, and this is Books and Beyond for November. And I am here with my partner and favorite guest, Laura Garvey, artist and bookworm. And we're going to talk about what's going on in Swanton. And because in honor of Thanksgiving, which is coming right up, we're going to talk about food.
Yes.
Weird food. Interesting food. Different food. Okay, first, November 3rd and 4th, right smack the beginning of the month, Swanton's Got Art. This is going to be a fabulous art show at the Village Complex. Artists from all over the local area. We have many, many artists. All of our art shows have been wonderful, fun, varied. So come out for this one, Friday and Saturday, November 3rd and 4th. The Swanton Writers Group, which you're going to come to, right? Oh, come on. The Swanton Writers Group will be meeting on November 16th here at the library, and we're going to be talking about bullet journals. Do you know anything about bullet journals?
Yes, I do.
I have just decided to start keeping one because, I need another journal. A bullet journal is supposed to be a way of coordinating all the lists that you've got all over the place on little scraps of paper, and you have it all in one handy place. And if you're artistically creative, which sadly I am not, you can decorate it with colored pens. You can make a beautiful bullet journal. But basically it's lists of everything that you have to do. It's part journal, part calendar, part to-do list. And looks fun. So what's yours like?
It's kind of mishmashed in with my art journal.
I like it. Well, mine's not going to have much art, but it's going to have lists. We came up with a couple of things at the last writers group meeting. One of them, which I would love to get going with the Swanton Arts Council, is called the Creativity Project. There's actually a book called the Creativity Project. And what it is like 40 different authors and illustrators combined to interpret a story. So, for example, the artists would give the writers a picture, and the writers would come up with a story about the picture. Or the authors would give the artists a story starter, and they would come up with a picture that they thought went with the story.
Sounds fun.
So it was kind of a combo. Yeah, I thought so too. This is the latest thing I found for the Swanton Writers Group. Write the story. It's supposed to be sort of sophisticated, challenging story starters. So for example, and you notice how much I've done in this book, write a story. Well, reliving childhood memories doesn't really totally work for you. You're a child. Write a story. Something bad is about to happen, but nobody believes the main character. Include the following in your story: Andromeda, a stop sign, a dandelion, an iceberg, a spectacle, a poet, a candle, a keyboard, Bumble, and robotic. Go.
So these are actually a lot of fun. I got one for my birthday this year.
Have you been using it?
I have not, because I put it down and I can't remember where I last had it.
Laura, well, I'm going to send you some of these. A haunted house. Write the story, a haunted house. Include in your story silver, relativity, watercolor, copper beach, limited, effect, broccoli, politician, arsenal, and cufflinks.
All very scary things.
Cufflinks are terrifying.
They are.
So, write the story. I think this sounds fun. We'll talk about it at the next meeting of the Swanton Writers Group on November 16th. Everybody is welcome. Writers, wannabe writers, just like to talk about writing anyway. Okay, the local Authors Fest. I'm so excited about this one. This is going to be held on Saturday, November 18th, shortly after my birthday, if any of you care to remember it. And we're having 10 to 12 local authors will be at the Swanton Library. They'll be set up at tables. They'll be chatting with people about the writing process, signing their books, lots of books for sale, and Christmas is coming up, perfect time to buy books. So this should be a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And it's a really varied collection of writers, you know, everything from people who do graphic novels to memoirs to poetry, children's novels. So this should be a fun event and a lot of people here. So please, please come and meet local authors. The Arts Council Holiday Craft Show, now in its third year, will be held November 25th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Holy Trinity Episcopal Church, which is where we've been having it for the past couple of years. This is a fantastic craft show. And it's got a huge list of craftspeople and artists who are going to be participating this year. It is going to be totally beautiful. Mm-hmm. And in fact, there's a lot going on in town that day. I think the reindeer are coming. And there will also be a Christmas crafts workshop at the library. And we're going to make marbled Christmas balls. Ooh. Oh, Laura, this is so cool. You take a plain plastic Christmas ball and you drip paint into it and you roll it around and it comes out looking like a marbled book cover. Mm-hmm. You know, beautiful.
Just make sure you don't end up using pink and mint green with sparkles.
What happens?
It makes a very putrid color. It's gross.
Yeah, I think you have to be careful about color mixing because, you know, kids in paint, mm-hmm. you know, let's add some of everything and then it turns out swamp brown and you're very disappointed. But we're going to be decorating the tiny trees again and making Christmas cards and painting snowman rocks. So there should be a lot to do. And immediately afterwards, you can trot right over to the Episcopal Church and go to the Arts Council Craft Show. And then there's Thanksgiving, coming up on Thursday the 23rd. You excited?
I'm very excited.
Okay. Thanksgiving. You know, when I was writing for National Geographic for the past 3 years, I did a piece on why on earth is turkey called turkey. Did you ever think about this?
No, I did not.
What a stupid name. Okay. It turns out this is all the fault of the Portuguese. The name turkey is such a mess. And just to show how totally screwed up we are on turkey, the name for turkey in Portuguese is Peru. Okay. 6 subspecies of turkeys worldwide. They're all native to North America. The turkey that we chow down on probably originated in Mexico. When Columbus arrived, the Aztecs had gazillions of turkeys. They had domesticated them long, long ago. There was even an Aztec god. I'm never going to be able to pronounce this. Tezcatlipoca? Okay, say it.
Tezcatlipoca?
Tezcatlipoca?
Tezcatlipoca.
Tezcatlipoca, the Aztec trickster god. One of his guises is as a jeweled turkey. So the Spaniards started shipping turkeys home from Mexico in the early 1500s. And of course, nobody in Spain knew what these bizarre-looking birds were, so they started calling them galapavos, which means chicken peacocks, which is kind of, you know, sort of makes sense. Mm-hmm. Then it turns out that the turkey kind of got mixed up with an earlier bird import, the guinea fowl. And the guinea fowls are those little black and white speckly birds. Mm-hmm. They come from Africa.
Oh, wow.
So they were being imported via Africa, they came in on the spice routes from the east, actually. And so a lot of people thought they came from Turkey or India. So the guinea fowl were called India chickens, or turkey chickens, or Calcutta hens. And all of these names immediately started being applied to the turkey, the North American turkey. So we've got these two birds, neither of whom come from Turkey, both of whom are being called turkey. Then the Portuguese got mixed up in this. Mm-hmm. And the Portuguese were really cagey about their trade routes. They'd figured out how to go around Africa and get to India. They were importing all this stuff. Gold, ivory, probably peacocks, spices. They were also bringing in chili peppers, corn, and turkeys from North America. But they didn't want anybody to know where they got any of their stuff. The Portuguese were really unwilling to share their trade routes with anybody. Mm-hmm. In fact, if you were a navigator on a ship, you had to swear silence. You would never tell anybody where you'd been, where you were coming from, and if you tattled, you were executed. So the turkeys and the guinea fowl, combined with the Portuguese not telling where anything came from, became completely mixed up. So the turkey became known as the chicken of India in France, poule d'Inde. It's called the Calcoen from Calcutta hen in the Netherlands. In Russia, it's known as the Indian bird. The Turks, who knew perfectly well the thing didn't come from Turkey, called it the Hindi from India. The Arabs called it the Ethiopian bird. In Malaya, it was called the Dutch chicken. In Cambodia, it was called the French chicken. And the Albanians called it the sea rooster.
I think that's my favorite.
So, okay, everybody, we're sitting down to sea rooster this Thanksgiving.
Oh, man.
The European colonists called them turkeys. And so that is what we ended up with. But the Aztec word for turkey, which is probably the one we should all be using, I'm never going to be able to pronounce this, is huexl. Huexolotl.
Hey, so where's this?
Huexolotl. Huexolotl. I don't know. Sea rooster. Let's go for sea rooster.
Yeah, I think we should go with sea rooster.
Okay, there's the story of turkey.
Sea rooster.
I love it. Okay, well, Laura and I thought we'd talk a little bit about peculiar foods, since Thanksgiving is just a massive food holiday. And most of us are pretty traditional about it.
Yeah, I think so.
Turkey, mashed potatoes.
No sweet potato pie, though.
No sweet potato pie.
I think it's nasty.
I'm not fond of sweet potatoes.
But sweet potato with marshmallow on top? It's
No.
weird.
We always had watermelon pickle.
That sounds interesting.
My grandmother made watermelon rind pickle. So
I've had that before. That's good.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Odd foods. Try How Carrots Won the Trojan War by me. This is a book about it's about the history and science of common garden vegetables, and some of these have the wackiest stories behind them. One of my absolute favorites is how the bell pepper got named the bell pepper. It is kind of like a bell. Mm-hmm. It turns out it was named by a pirate. I love this story. The pirate was a guy named Lionel Wafer. How's that for a name? And Lionel started out as a perfectly respectable ship's surgeon in the British Navy. And sometime in the late 1600s, he jumped ship and he joined up with William Dampier, who was a pirate, but a very intelligent pirate. He was also an explorer, a navigator, a writer. Eventually, he went around the world 3 times. Was the first person to write a natural history of Australia.
Wow.
He rescued Alexander Selkirk
Wow.
from his desert island. And it was Selkirk that Daniel Defoe based the book Robinson Crusoe on. So we owe that to William Dampier. He kept these extensive journals, and a lot of words in English were introduced by Dampier, like barbecue, chopsticks, cashew, catamaran, all due to William Dampier. He also robbed a lot of Spanish treasure ships. Let's be clear. Anyway, in the course of these pirate expeditions, Lionel Wafer got wounded. He was in a gunpowder explosion, and so they dropped him off in Panama to recover, and basically left him there for over a year. But they came back to pick him up. When they came back to pick him up, they didn't recognize him. He was tattooed. He was wearing a breech clout. He had a bone in his nose. But they picked him up, and he sailed with Dampier for another couple years, made a fortune, settled down in Williamstown, Virginia, and wrote a book. And his book was all about living with the Indians in Panama. And that's the first mention in English of the bell pepper, which he called the bell pepper. He immediately got arrested for piracy, but he talked his way out of it somehow by giving a huge amount of cash to the College of William and Mary, which you should consider going to. It's a gorgeous school.
I bet.
And it's funded by pirate money.
That's amazing.
I mean, how cool is
Even
that?
better.
So there you have the bell pepper. But we've got a lot of that in this book. Woolton pie, possibly the worst dish in the world,
Sounds it.
contains lots of turnips.
Yes.
Why tomatoes were once called wolf peaches. What tomatoes have to do with witchcraft. Oh. The potato famine, and how it was once blamed on steam locomotives. How carrots won the Trojan War. Madame Pompadour's underwear. All right. Odd foods. Eating insects.
Yes.
Have you ever tried?
I think I might have had a chocolate-covered cricket once.
How was it?
Crunchy.
I don't know. They say, we're supposed to be really poor on our taste for insects. A lot of the world loves insects. It's a big part of lots of people's diets. Not mine.
See, in some parts of the world, people eat tarantula legs.
Ah,
That
aren't they fuzzy?
that fascinating tidbit of information was brought to me by Linda.
Where did she find this?
She wrote not a book, I guess, but in her classroom, her teacher had them write little stories or little pamphlets, I guess, of information about their favorite animal for science.
And Linda's was a tarantula?
She chose a tarantula.
Oh, yeah, okay. And you can eat the legs.
You can eat the legs. I don't know how they eat them, but...
Oh, okay. According to the UN, there are more than 1,900 edible insect species on Earth. Mealworms are said to be particularly good. Grasshoppers have as much protein content as lean ground beef. Insects convert food into protein much more efficiently than livestock do, so they're much better for the planet than, say, cows. Okay. Beetles. Beetles are munched by people living in the Amazon basin. They're roasted and eaten like popcorn. Butterflies and moths.
You can eat them?
You can. They're very popular in Africa and are said to be an excellent supplement for children and pregnant women. Bees and wasps.
I would never eat a bee.
Bees are said to taste like peanuts. Ants. You're probably thinking it takes a lot of ants to make a meal. Yes, I was thinking that. 100 grams of red ant provide 14 grams of protein, which is more than eggs. And they're very low in carbohydrates. Cricket curry. I don't know. Stink bugs are said to add an apple flavor to sauces. Okay, so we have an entire cookbook on this. Entertaining with insects.
You're going to have to let me borrow that. I really want to look through that.
You may absolutely borrow this. You know, I'm thinking an unusual Thanksgiving hors d'oeuvre.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roasted crickets. I don't know. However, they're saying that it's one of the foods of the future, so we should all probably start adjusting.
Let's see, if you can eat grasshoppers, does that mean you can eat locusts?
I think so. Are you thinking about it?
I am. Well, if we ever had a locust plague.
Well, yeah. It's the obvious thing to do.
Yeah.
Eat them.
Eat them. I don't know how to cook them, but...
Well, it sounds like roasting is good for a lot of things.
Maybe in like a salad or something, but you can't have a salad if they've eaten all your plants.
Now, I'll tell you what's bothering me about the crickets and the grasshoppers. It's those little legs with ooh.
No, I'm just thinking of that scene from Coraline where the other mother takes a bite from her cocoa beetle, and you could just see it pulling apart slowly.
Oh. Okay. We're moving on from insects. This is even better. Cannibalism. This is an absolutely fascinating book. I didn't really expect it to be. I got it because I'm currently working on a book called From Soup to Nuts. That's an eccentric history of food. Very eccentric.
I can't wait to read that.
And I thought, this could be interesting. Well, it turns out this isn't just about people eating people, though it does include a chapter on the Donner Party and some bits about New Guinea headhunters. It also talks about dinosaurs eating dinosaurs and frogs eating frogs and praying mantises biting the heads off their mates. So, cannibalism, the subtitle here is A Perfectly Natural History. So, there's a lot of it going around. But the chapter titles are riotous in a creepy kind of way. The Donner Party is introduced with the worst party ever. Mad cows and Englishmen. Cannibalism and the Bible. Go on, eat the kids. It's fascinating.
It sounds it.
Absolutely. I'm not recommending this for Thanksgiving dinner, but
No.
it's still an interesting read. Okay, what else do we have? Oh. Prehistoric cookery. How to cook a mammoth. Actually, there was a show on NPR, a couple of years ago, in honor of what they called Meat Week. They did a whole lot of articles about meat consumption in America, and the organizers of the show published a time traveler's cookbook of Paleolithic recipes that are all based on archaeological digs. So they have things like gazelle tartare, fallow deer barbecue, Babylonian lamb stew, and then one is called mahalo for mammoth. Mahalo is Hawaiian for thank you. Mahalo. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
And the reason that we've got Hawaiian in there is that there's a famous archaeological dig called Pavlov 6. It's in Serbo-Croatia. And what they discovered there was what's basically the remains of a Stone Age gourmet kitchen,
Oh, wow.
where it was clear they were cooking mammoth. And how they did it was basically luau style. They had a big pit, and they got hot rocks and dropped them on top of their mammoth and slow roasted it.
Sounds good.
So it was luau mammoth. So mahalo for the mammoth. Most scientists say that the paleo diet, the popular paleo diet that's all over the place now, has practically nothing to do with an actual paleo diet. I mean, for one thing, we're no longer paleo people. We've changed a lot. And all of our edible plants and animals have changed a lot too. You know, all of our livestock are bigger, juicier, and tenderer than their prehistoric ancestors. And of course, plants have improved massively. You know, the original potato was the size of a peanut. The original corn was a wild grass that just had a few little hard kernels on top of it.
Let's see. Apples used to be too small and bitter to eat. They were just used for cider. Cider. Oh God, I cannot speak today.
Nope, you did great. And cucumbers. Cucumbers were hideous. They were little, they were bitter, and they were covered with spines like a sea urchin.
Oh dear.
So, you know, it's not like you looked at these things and thought, wow, tossed salad. So, paleo diet, you're actually eating a modern version of a made-up paleo diet. You're supposed to avoid dairy, of course, processed food. Even in the modern version of the paleo diet, you don't get Velveeta cheese or gummy bears. Still, it's interesting. Okay. Let's try this one. To the King's Taste. Now, this is fun. There are a number of cookbooks out along these lines. These are recipes from the Middle Ages. This is the book to get if you want to gild a peacock or build a castle out of sugar to be brought to the table. A lot of the recipes are for huge tarts. I love this stuff.
Have you made any of it?
No. I keep looking at it. It's, you know, these are not totally straightforward recipes. This book actually has the original medieval recipe on one side of the page, and then it has a translation into modern terms on the other side. Here's a recipe to make golden apples and other things.
That sounds good.
Doesn't that sound good? It takes pork sausage, nutmeg, cloves, eggs, currants, saffron, flour, honey, and slices of fried apple. That sounds pretty good. I think that's closer to something you could do for Thanksgiving than the roasted beetles.
Yeah.
Okay, what are you having for Thanksgiving?
Well, I'm not sure yet. Basics. We have this family recipe that we follow every year. We make this, it's like a raspberry cranberry relish. I think it was my great-grandmother's recipe. It's really good, but she used to put orange rinds in it. We don't do that.
That sounds wonderful, though.
It does. I've never had it with orange rinds, but
I think it's nice to have, you know, a traditional family recipe at Thanksgiving.
And then every year we have kind of a pie competition between my cousins and I guess
cool.
Glinda and I. And they make these fabulous pies. They bake a lot, and they're very good at it. Like, my cousin Krista, she's the youngest. She's only like 11, but she made this, I don't know, it was like a cherry pie with walnuts and stuff. And the lattice was so detailed. I know.
Oh, yeah,
And
don't do that.
My cousin Jessica, she's the second oldest of the family. She makes this amazing key lime pie with, I guess, lime zest on top.
Yum.
I know. So ready for Thanksgiving. I love pie.
Okay, Thanksgiving, I have to say, is not my favorite holiday since my expertise happens to be doing the dishes. But it's still fun. Every year we try to do something totally different with the turkey because we have family members who are not fond of turkey. And so every year we attempt to disguise it in a new and different manner.
You guys should get a turducken.
No.
Yes.
Maybe some year.
Maybe.
Okay.
See, one of my favorite things about Thanksgiving is you have your roll and you have everything on your plate and you open your roll and you hollow it out and then you put everything on your plate in the roll and then you eat it. I can't wait to do that and then be sick for 2 days.
Oh, okay. Okay, one last thing about Thanksgiving. The reason that the TV dinner was invented was apparently one Thanksgiving back in the 50s, Swanson's had a tremendous number of leftover turkeys and they had to do something with them. So the TV dinner was born, which may have been one of the worst things ever to happen to food. Okay.
Yeah.
We got anything else on weird food? Okay, you're all up on, how to do the roasted beetles and, the possibilities of eating your children. The gilded peacock, the mammoth.
I mean, it's not really about food, but your jaw is strong enough to bite off your pinky, but your brain stops you from doing it.
Good.
Yeah, so I can't bite off my pinky like a carrot.
Okay, so there's no such thing as self-cannibalism.
Yeah, no self-cannibalism. Your body will not allow that.
I am so relieved. All right. Fantastic.
So you don't have to worry about one day biting your nails and accidentally going, oh no, I bit the tip of my finger off.
Laura, you are a constant source of amazement to me.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody, thanks for being with us for Books and Beyond. I hope you'll be back with us next month when we'll talk about Christmas.
Yes.
Christmas.
All
right. In the meantime.
I know what we should do. I'll tell you later.
No, we're not telling. Happy Thanksgiving.